Being woke is like a magic moral time machine where you judge everybody against what you imagine you would have done in 1066, and you always win. Presentism. Yeah, this professor is right. It's just a way to congratulate yourself about being better than George Washington because he didn't.
Bill Maher has zero tolerance for woke politics. So when a celebrity built entirely on that brand sat down across from him, only one thing was ever going to happen: a brutal takedown. But before we go further, if you enjoy short commentary videos with full breakdowns, take just 2 seconds to subscribe to the channel. Now buckle up, because this is where the real takedown begins.
Would get him reelected, which was stupid wokeness, which is what got him reelected. So I feel my conscience is very clear that I told you and I told you and I told you, and I lost fans for it. You know, lots of the super woke that like I'm not woke enough for them. Yeah, but like I think I had it right. Like that kind of stuff is what lost the election for the Democrats. It's in all.
Maybe part of it. I don't know. I think a lot.
They have polling on it.
Well, I think it's inflation. I think Americans hate inflation.
That's certainly what
they hate inflation. They hate riots, and they hate. They hate trans people.
Oh God, John, we're not.
Dude.
Cryer's big theory for why his party lost is simple. Regular people are just secretly hateful, that voters didn't reject the message. They rejected being decent human beings. Think about how insulting that is. Millions of people voted, and this guy's first move is to call them bigots instead of asking one honest question about his own side. That's not thinking. That's just contempt with a famous face. Maher, who deals in real facts instead of feelings, doesn't even blink, because he has the receipts and Cryer has nothing but hurt feelings. The difference is instant. One man studied why his team lost. The other would rather blame the whole country than look in the mirror. When the bigot excuse falls flat, Cryer jumps to the next excuse. Grocery prices, inflation, anything.
Concluding remarks after I told them that the Democratic Party had turned into a Portlandia sketch.
Again, I felt like they tacked to the right quite a bit in this. They tacked to the right on immigration.
You're a Hollywood in the bubble, blue sky,
dude.
I know this town.
You're a man of the people, Bill. Is that it?
Much
more. Oh, really? And
you're part of the Hollywood community that is embraced. I am not.
Watch the role reversal here because it tells you everything. Cryer is the working actor inside the Hollywood machine, and Ma refuses to let him pretend otherwise. The man who walked away from groupthink is sitting across from the man still drowning in it, and somehow Cryer thinks he's the one who gets regular people. Critics say Maher is just scoring points, but this wasn't a point. It was a man getting handed a mirror and flinching. You don't get to be the voice of the people from inside the bubble that lost the people. And this is the trick you need to learn to spot, because the entire movement runs on it. They can't beat the arguments, so they go after your address, your income, your zip code, anything but what you actually said. Critics call that rough debate. It's not debate, it's a smokescreen. And Maher walked straight through it.
That's not, I don't live there, it's not my culture,
But and you won't judge it?
I'm not going to judge it, no. But again, this is not
that's crazy woke to me.
Okay.
That's where it all went off the rails. When we became so tolerant that we tolerate intolerance. I mean, you would never allow something like that to happen in this country. If they proposed a law tomorrow at the LA City Council, women have to cover their face when they go out. I assume you'd be against that.
Well, yes.
This is where it got sharp. Cryer plays the noblest card in the deck. I don't judge other cultures. Sounds so open-minded and generous. Then Maher simply asks him to apply that to something truly awful. A law that strips women of their faces in public. And the whole pose collapses in real time. Of course he'd judge that. Of course he would. To Mon, that's the rot exposed. A tolerance so wide it ends up protecting the intolerable. That's not virtue. That's surrender dressed up to look like grace. Here's what I need you to understand. Sit with this for a second. They say they don't judge, right up until you hand them the one thing they can't stomach. Then the judgment comes roaring back, which means it was never real. They were ranking right and wrong the whole time. They just hid the...
It is appropriate, I think.
Okay,
I think this is the standard liberal position. And then there's like the people who won't admit that some of this is social contagion. Some of this is just a TikTok trend that got out of hand.
I don't agree.
And that's okay.
Notice what Maher does that Cryer's whole side refuses to do. He states the calm, normal position, then names the part that's become off limits. That some of this is contagion, a trend that got loose and spread. Cryer won't agree, and Maher just lets him disagree. No insult, no label. Don't skip past that. The man supposedly representing tolerance had to be shown what tolerance actually looks like by the guy he came there to scold. That one moment tells you who the real liberal in that chair was. Now let me show you the engine running under all of it. Once you see this, you can't unsee it. The modern left turned every cause into a costume, and every costume into proof of how good they are.
In this town, they just want to be warriors, social justice warriors. So they're just always looking for a cause, and it's so much more often about them than the cause itself. Not that they're not sincere about stuff, but like what bugs Dave Chappelle so much about the trans thing, I think it's the fact that they want to make it the social justice issue of their generation, and it just doesn't compare.
This is the line that hits hardest. Maher's point is simple. These people don't want to solve the problem. They want to wear it, to be warriors forever, chasing the next banner to march under. And the ugly truth at the center is that it's about them, not the cause. The suffering is just the backdrop. The applause is the prize. Critics call that cynical. So look around and count how many of these crusaders ever actually fix anything, versus how many just perform. That's not conviction. That's a personality built out of other people's pain. This is a credibility crisis the movement refuses to admit it's having, and the deeper it sinks, the louder it gets.
It's politics. Of course, you have to assume that the other side is going to use your vulnerable points. But here's what the left demonizes. They would take my conversation with you right now, which is in no way illiberal, and say, I'm some sort of bigot. Because in the left's view, the far left anyway, any just questioning of this is a mic drop. Oh, you're a bigot. I mean, it happened on CNN recently. Like, I will not sit here and hear someone called a boy, and they're talking about someone who's trans, but, it's like, we're so pure. We know everything. That's the given. So any discussion of this is bigotry to begin with. And that's not where we are with this issue.
Listen carefully, because Maher just exposed the whole game. The far left has exactly one move. Question them calmly, question them fairly, with zero hate anywhere in your voice, and instantly you're a bigot. The conversation gets declared over. Done. No appeal. No rebuttal allowed. He points straight at it happening live on CNN, and it's not subtle. Critics say he's exaggerating, but he's not describing a theory. He's describing a tactic that millions of regular people have watched land in real time, in their workplaces, in their families, at their dinner tables. That's the machine. And that is exactly why no honest conversation survives anymore. The moment truth walks through the door, the label gun comes out. Critics say Maher is just bitter, just old, just some guy shouting at clouds. But here's the inconvenient little fact.
We dehumanize them, it was politics.
Well, another reason why the Democrats shouldn't have blown it.
Well, again,
so
you can blame them all you want. I believe again that there was a worldwide reaction to the inflation bump after COVID. Everybody, as I said, Americans hate inflation.
You keep telling yourself that, and you'll lose the next one too.
And right there, in that exact moment, Cryer does the very thing that buried his side. Live, on camera, one more time, handed a clean and open chance to face the truth. He reaches back for inflation, for the big wide world, for any culprit he can grab. Anything but the one sitting right there in that chair. It's almost painful to watch, because you can see it happening. You can see the moment he chooses comfort over honesty. And Mom here closes the door with one single line. Keep telling yourself that, and you'll lose the next one too. That's the entire night packed into one sentence. One man learned the lesson the hard way and came out sharper for it. The other just sat down and volunteered to learn it all over again. Critics say that's Maher being smug. It's not smug. It's a warning. A real one. The kind a doctor gives before the second heart attack. And the pride sitting in that chair is the exact reason.
The problem with communism, and with some very recent ideologies here at home, is that they think you can change reality by screaming at it. That you can bend human nature by holding your breath. But that's the difference between reality and your mommy.
Here's the hard truth nobody on that side wants to hear. You cannot scream reality into submission. You cannot hold your breath until human nature bends to your feelings. You cannot wish away the way the world actually works. And that gap between handling the real world and throwing a tantrum in the cereal aisle is not a small gap. It is the entire distance between a movement that wins and a movement left standing in the smoking rubble, staring at the wreckage, genuinely asking what hit it. Critics say that's too simple, but sometimes the answer is simple, because it's just true. And the ones who hate simple answers are usually the ones most threatened by them. We watched something rare happen in that room. A man walked in certain, polished, armed with every rehearsed line his circle had handed him. And he staggered out, stripped, completely bare. Cryer came to defend the cause and ended up becoming the single best piece of evidence against it. Think about that. He didn't lose the debate on a technicality. He lost it by showing exactly who he was under the pressure. He swapped facts for excuses the moment facts stopped working. He swung hard at the messenger the second the message beat him. He swore up and down that he doesn't judge, then judged instantly the moment it served him. He couldn't bring himself to call a trend even when the data was sitting right in front of his face. And every single time Maher cracked a door open for an honest conversation, Cryer slammed it shut and grabbed the script. Every single time. And here's what history actually teaches us about this moment, because this is not new. Every political movement that stops listening to reality and starts listening only to itself follows the exact same path. The Roman Senate in its final years didn't fall because Rome ran out of soldiers. It fell because the men inside the walls stopped being honest with each other. The Soviet Union didn't collapse because it lacked resources. It collapsed because an entire system was built on refusing to admit what wasn't working. And right now, in real time, we are watching a modern political movement make the identical mistake, punishing honesty, rewarding performance, and then acting shocked when the country stops believing them. Critics say that night was just a friendly disagreement between two men who basically agree. It was not friendly, and they are not on the same side anymore. Not really. One of them looked at the losses, sat with the discomfort, asked the hard questions, and came out the other side sharper and more honest. The other is still living inside the fantasy that lost, still protecting it, still polishing it, still calling anyone who questions it a bigot. That is not a political strategy. That is a coping mechanism wearing a political strategy's clothes. So let me ask you something directly. Why can this crowd never just admit they were wrong? Not privately, publicly, with the same loud, confident energy they used when they were certain they were right. Is Bill Maher genuinely the last honest liberal left standing? The last one willing to say the uncomfortable thing out loud without checking who's in the room first? And here's the biggest question of all. When your entire movement runs on calling people bigots, what's left when nobody flinches at the word anymore? What's the next move when the label loses its power? Because that moment is coming. In fact, for millions of Americans, it's already here. Drop your answer down in the comments right now. I want to know what you actually think. And if this breakdown cut through the noise for you, share it with one person who needs to hear it. Hit that like button and make sure you are subscribed, because we break down exactly these kinds of moments, the ones the mainstream glosses over, every single week. The church doesn't need a costume. It just needs someone willing to say it out loud. And that's exactly what we're here for.